Alright, so let's take a look at putting together our panorama once we've shot it. So I have all of my pictures in Lightroom, so you'll want to bring them into Lightroom just like you usually do. And you want to be careful as you're looking at your pictures. You don't want to adjust any pictures individually. Any adjustment that you make in Lightroom should be done exactly the same to every picture, so that when for the same reason that when you're shooting it, you want your exposure for every shot to not change. You don't want the focus to change. You don't want the focal length of your lens to change. Okay, so it's for the same reason. We want all of your pictures to be the same when we start to put them together, and I think you'll see why when this starts to go together. If you do need to make some changes, this is how you'll do it in Lightroom. Okay, so I'm going to select my first image, bring that up. And I don't need to change exposure because the exposure looks good. All I really need to do here is just make it black and white. So I'm going to click on my black and white there. And I'm going to darken that blue sky just to give it a little bit of interest up there with the trees. It kind of gives a little more definition to those trees up there. I'm going to increase my oranges to kind of bring up the level of those leaves and bring up the yellow a little bit. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do to this with the black and white. But I'm going to do some split toning. So I'm going to bring up that saturation so I can see my color. Get a nice brown that I like for that. And I'm going to bring that back down. Do the same thing with the shadows. So I'm going to get a nice brown in there. Bring that saturation back down. Maybe I'll bring the shadows one up just a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more than I will bring the highlights up. Bring that back down maybe. Okay, there we go. So I'm happy with that. So that's how I want my pictures to look. And so what I need to do now is I'm going to select all of these pictures. I can go all the way to the end and do a shift click on the last picture. That will select them all, or I can do a Command A, which is to select all. And when I do that, this button down here becomes a sync settings button instead of what it was before, which was, it said previous on it. So now it says sync settings. So I click on that, bring up my synchronize settings dialog box, and just check the boxes of things that I did. I didn't change white balance. I didn't change exposure. So I don't need to have any of those settings to be synchronized. I just need the black and white and split toning. So click synchronize, and you'll see it's going through and it's changing all of my pictures. Alright, so now that these are all changed, they're ready to export. And we're going to export these using your high-res settings, but not just by going directly to the high-res preset. What we want to do, we're also not going to go edit in Adobe Photoshop. We're not going to bring them into Photoshop that way. Instead, we want to go down to export and just click on export. And we are going to use the high-res preset here, but now we're going to just make a little modification to it. I'm going to click on resize to fit. This is the only thing that we're going to change, is right in here under image sizing. Okay, so I check that box, resize to fit. Change this to long edge. Change that to inches. And I'm going to make the long edge of my picture 10. Go to resolution and change that to 150. Alright, then we're going to click the export button to export all of these pictures. And I've already exported them before, but I'm going to re-export them because I kind of like the toning I did better this time. So click overwrite, and it's going to rewrite all of those files. Okay, so while those are exporting, now we can go to Photoshop. And in case you don't know, this quick way of going from one application to the next on the Mac is by holding the Command key down and hitting Tab. And I can tab through the different applications that I have running, or I could use my mouse, just run my mouse over it, and select the application that I want to jump to. Alright, so here we are in Photoshop. I'm going to go to File, New, because we're going to create a new canvas for our panorama. And I'm going to change this to inches right here. So we've got width and height as inches. I'm going to do my width at 80, although that number is not really set. I don't know at this point just how wide my panorama needs to be, but I can easily add width to my canvas at any time, or when I'm done, if I have extra, I'll just crop it out. I want the height to be 8. And as you recall, when I exported the images, I exported them at 10 inches, and the canvas is going to be 8. That means that there's going to be a couple of extra inches to play with on the pictures. Okay, and resolution 150, so that matches the resolution of my exported images. So I click OK, and here's my canvas, and I'm going to magnify this. I'm going to zoom in some, so Command plus. Okay, I'm going to hit Command plus. The Command key is that Apple key, alright, to about there. And then I'm going to pull this handle, this corner, bottom right corner of my canvas. I'm going to pull that handle down so that now I have my the canvas for my panorama, and I have some gray space above and some gray space below. Okay, I need to be able to see that gray space, and you'll see why in a minute. And then as I zoomed in, you can see that I'm in the middle of my panorama, in the middle of my canvas. So there's 40 inches. Remember, my canvas is 80 inches wide. And so now we need to go get a picture to put on our canvas. So I'm going to go to the Finder window and go find my pictures. Alright, so here are my pictures, and I'm going to use this one as my middle picture. Okay, we always want to start in the middle of our panorama and work out to the sides. Okay, so I start in the middle. That's the foundation of my panorama, and then I'm going to lay the pictures down going out to the right, and then I'll come back to the center and I'll work my way out to the left. Okay, so this is my center picture, and I'm going to use the Move tool here. Click and drag that up to the tab and set that right down right in the center of my panorama. Doesn't have to be exact, just close. So there it is. We want to make sure that we have this box checked for Show Transform Controls. That's why I see this bounding box going around showing where my picture extends, and I have these little handles on the tops and corners for resizing the picture if I want to, and we'll be using those a little bit later on. So those are important to have. So make sure you check that Show Transform Controls. It's also helpful later on to have Auto Select checked. I'll go ahead and do that now. Alright, so I'm done with that picture. I can close that picture out. I'm going to go back to my Finder window, and because I've used this picture now, I'm done with it. I'm going to go ahead and label it red, and then I'm going to open up my next picture. And using my Move tool, drag it up to the tab. As soon as it switches, bring it down to the canvas and place it. And I'm going to line up my pictures just by looking right here in the center of the left edge. Okay, we're just going to be using the left edge of our pictures to line them up, and right in the middle. So I'm going to drag that over, and I'm looking for little details right in here to help me line that up, and that's pretty good. So I'll leave it right there. And now we're going to use the Marquee tool, and I want you to notice when I hover over that M is the quick key for changing to the Marquee tool, because rather than coming up here and clicking to switch those all the time, if you know the quick keys, you can be a little bit faster at changing. So the M key changes to the Marquee tool, and the V key changes to the Move tool. Okay, so we're going to be switching back and forth a lot between the marquee tool and the move tool, so M and V. Alright, so I take the marquee tool and I'm going to just click and drag a marquee so that I have about the center third of this picture. If I turn off my foundation layer, you'll see that I'm pretty much in the center. Scooch that over maybe a little bit to the right, so that's pretty much in the center, pretty much just 1/3 of that image that I have selected with the marquee. And now I'm going to mask it. So down at the bottom of the layer palette, there's the mask button. And I'm going to click on that, and you can see on this new layer for the picture I have a mask. I'm going to unlink it, so click on that little chain link to make that disappear. Click on the picture. I'm going to hit the V key now to go back to my move tool, and I'll come into the picture here and click and drag this, and hopefully you can see the edge. Okay, right here, this is the left edge of my picture now, so I'm looking just right in here to find where I need to line that up. So there it is, lined up right there on that left edge, just in the middle. I'm not worried about things up here that are not lining up, and I'm not worried about things down here. I'll fix those later. Right now, just looking at the middle. Okay, so I'm done with that picture. I'm going to close that out. So let's go get another one. So we go back to the Finder, and I need to label this one that has been used. Open up our next picture. And remember, we're using the Move tool. Click and drag that up to the tab until it changes to our canvas, and then bring it on down. And looking right here on the left, pretty much just right in the center, I'm going to move this over until it looks like we've got things lined up, just right there in the middle. You can see things are already off here. They get off pretty much quite a bit up there. This log's way off, but that's not important right now. We're not looking at those things yet. So on the second one here, we want to mask out most of the picture again, so that we just have the middle third. But we're going to do a little shortcut this time. This time we're just going to go here to the previous layer's mask. I'm going to hold the Command key down while I click on it. And by doing a command click on the previous layer's mask, you'll see that a marquee has shown up in the same, it shows up in the same spot where this previous layer's mask is, in the same size. Alright, but I need to move this over to the middle third of this photograph, and you need to make sure that you go to the marquee tool to do that. If you don't, if I just click on this and start to move it, it's going to cut that chunk out. Okay, and I don't want to cut that chunk out, so I'm going to undo that, go to the marquee tool, and now I can click on it and start moving it. As soon as I start moving it, I want to hold the Shift key, which is going to keep it moving horizontally. It's not going to accidentally go up or down a little bit. Alright, and then when I let go, I'm going to let go of my mouse first, and then let go of the Shift key, and it'll be perfectly in spot. I'll show you what happens if I don't do that. If I start to move it like this, I might accidentally go up a little bit or go down a little bit. It's kind of hard to keep it perfectly in spot, but the second that I hold the Shift key, it gets kind of locked. You can move it either vertically or up and down, but it kind of snaps and tries to stay in place horizontally. And if I let go of the Shift key first and then let go of the mouse, see how that kind of jumped up a little bit? We don't want that to happen. So I click on it, start moving it, hold Shift, get it right into that middle third, let go of the mouse first, and then the Shift key. Alright, so I've got that marquee where I want it. Click on the mask button. It's masked out now. Unlink the mask from the picture. Click on my picture. I'm going to go to the Move tool, and now I can move this. And again, I'm looking just right in the middle here to try to find something that I can line this up with. And sometimes when you get really in close, sometimes it's handy to just use the arrow keys up and down so you can nudge it. Okay, so that one's in its spot. I can close that picture, Go back to Finder, and I'm going to label that one with my orange and open up the next picture. And I'll do these a little bit faster than the other ones. I'm going to start moving along a little bit quicker because I figure that once you've gotten down the steps and you learn the steps pretty well, then you're going to start moving faster. You'll get into a rhythm and it'll go pretty quickly. So I'm taking this picture, dragging it up to the tab, down to the canvas, line it up on the left side here. When I find it hard to really see what I'm trying to line up, then sometimes I find it's pretty helpful to kind of move this way out and move it back in until I can really see, what it is that I'm trying to line up. Just moving it in and out like that can be pretty helpful. Okay, go to my previous layers mask, command click, go to my marquee tool so I can move this. Start moving it, hold the shift key, get it in the center, let go of the mouse, let go of the shift key, mask it, unlink, click on the picture. Alright, so now we just need to go to the move tool and scooch this over so it lines up. And looking right here in the middle for things to match up. And that looks pretty good. Alright, so we've got that one there. And let's go get another one. Label that one. Open it up. Scroll this over a little bit so I have a little more space. Alright, so it looks like that's right about there. We'll find out soon enough. Do my marquee thing. Mask that out. Unlink it, click on the picture. See how fast we're moving along here? We're just trucking. Okay. So that looks like it goes right about there. I hope you can keep up with me here. Pretty fast. That seems way too high. Okay, about there. Oops. See what I did? Started moving it while I was still on the move tool. Undo that. Go to the move tool. Start doing it. I'm glad you caught that. Good catch. Alright, whoop. I think right about there is the middle. Yeah, don't worry too much if you make a little mistake. There's not too many mistakes that you can make where you can't go back and fix it. So, don't get too worried. Alright. You following me all right? See what's happening? Alright. I'm going to stop there We've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 images on here. I'm going to stop there, and I will continue the video when I'm close to the end. Okay, so after I get the rest of this all assembled, I'm just going to keep doing each step, placing the pictures, doing the marquee, masking it, getting it adjusted a little bit, and then once I finish all the way out to the right, I'll come back to the center and I'll start placing my pictures to go out to the left. Okay, and after I have all of those images assembled, I'll come back to the video and show you what we do next.